Oh my God, look at the size of that logo. That always comes through way too big. That is, hang on. There we go.
To say at least it's easily
Yeah,
seen
it's
and
easily
recognized.
discernible, but it's not supposed to be, in place of your head. Jacob, it's good to see you again, my man.
You too, Tony. Thank you for having me.
What,
Pleasure to be
so,
here.
we're like the day before Thanksgiving. So, do y'all have any traditions or anything that y'all typically do over Thanksgiving?
Good question. I am doing a Friendsgiving and then
Oh,
going out.
Friendsgiving.
Yeah, doing a Friendsgiving. Not going to
Hey,
visit.
check your other camera. I think you want to come to your. There you go.
There we
That's
go.
where you want to be.
Got it. Um, my partner Scott is going down to San Antonio doing Thanksgiving with family,
Uh
and
huh.
all the about 2/3 of the team, half to 2/3 of the team are onshore and they're celebrating with their families, and about half the team is offshore and don't celebrate Thanksgiving, so they are enjoying another workday. And yeah, I'm doing a Friendsgiving this year.
So you and Scott, you work so closely together. He's like, no, I'm not having you down to the family.
He actually invited me. He invited me
Okay,
down to
good.
the family.
We don't want to, throw him under the bus if
I
if
had, I,
if
yeah,
it's not
I'd
valid.
already accepted an invitation to a Friendsgiving, and otherwise, I would definitely join him and his family.
Well, so what do you have to bring? Do you have to? Are you the guy that just
I'm
they
the
go,
liquor
hey, just go
man.
buy the
I'm
sparkling
I'm
wine?
responsible for the wine and the booze and making sure that everybody's well taken care of there.
Oh, you just get out so easy. So you're the guy that doesn't have to cook.
Yeah, don't have to cook. Fortunately, I have several friends who are much better than that at although I'm slowly learning. And they are going to be making some fantastic Thanksgiving dishes.
Yeah, I tell you, it is kind of fun. I tell you, I'm one of those guys that I'll jump in and learn anything. That's just honestly that's how I've really learned. I know I think the importance of college seems to be diminishing with AI, with YouTube, with all these other resources that we have out there, and I think that's like for me. I'll watch a cooking show. I'll just go dive in. I'll figure out knife skills. I'll do all these things, and I just feel like the sky's the limit. You can if you have an idea, you can find someone that's an expert in it already.
Yes, that's amazing, and that resonates strongly with a value of ours, of mine and Scott and everyone else on the team, which is growth, being very growth oriented people, continually learning. And I think one of the most important things, that skills that you can learn, both professionally and personally, is that ability to pick up new skills and learn and adapt.
Well, that is I can't think of anything a better segue into what's happening in the world of like search engines and AI. Talk about adapting because I've taken over a new role. I'm now head of marketing for the staffing company that I work for, and so I'm just doing this deep dive into everything SEO related. That's why I can't wait to kind of pick your brain a little bit about how you're kind of cracking this code. So I'm doing the deep dive and I'm learning all the things I need to learn. I think, but meanwhile, I've just upgraded my Twitter account so I have premium so I can go to Grok, and it's like I don't even go to Google anymore. Like, what in the world is going to happen in this world of SEO when people
Yeah.
just decide to go to AI?
Yeah, and ChatGPT, I saw a stat the other day that out of in the search market, GPT search has about 4% of the search market so far. In a matter of, and that may be both ChatGPT and GPT, the ChatGPT search, but uh, it's gaining quite a bit of traction and already has about 4% of the user share, and we expect that to grow very significantly over the next 3 to 4 years.
So I guess we'd call you kind of a tech entrepreneur. I mean, you've done three or four of these now. So what is it about SEO that really kind of lit your entrepreneurial fire to say, I want to get involved in this space?
Yeah, I was. So I ran a marketing, digital services and marketing agency for about 6 years, and SEO was a big part of that. And prior to AI, I was taking a look at, okay, how do you automate search engine optimization? It's a great channel for businesses to grow. It's much more cost effective, more sustainable, more profitable than PPC and many other forms of marketing, except maybe, well, definitely email marketing. But email marketing doesn't really help you get new customers. So the question was like, okay, can we automate SEO and make it scalable, make it affordable, make it more effective? Can we make it measurable? One of the biggest problems with SEO is it's very difficult to measure in black and white terms or in a concrete way the impact of what you're doing and how that affects your SEO. So we started taking a look at how to automate that and started and built some algorithms and some models ourselves to help develop your own SEO strategy. And then in the middle of that, generative AI came out, and we were fortunately one of the first companies to really jump on that bandwagon. And I'd say now initially we're automating SEO to help businesses achieve, measurable, meaningful, profitable, sustainable growth through organically through search. But additionally, from a business standpoint, we're really in the business of practical AI and solving business problems. So everything that we do within our organization, our business, we've taken the approach of, okay, can we break this problem down into a cellular level and then solve it all the way back up and practically use AI. And that's SEO's the first area that we've targeted, or the first area that we've tackled. And what we're getting is some really, really fantastic results. We're able to generate strategy that is 1,000 times more complex than any human could do with SEMrush or Moz or Ahrefs or spreadsheets. And we're able to do that in a fraction the amount of time at a fraction the cost. And then that translates to now we're able to write content that is just as good as a human would write if if you have the right process in place. Again, writing down content into the cellular level, and then solving that, completing that back up, and backlink building, technical SEO, and we're able to automate just about every aspect of SEO, and people are getting really fantastic results. We've had customers that have displaced, Fortune 1000, Fortune 100 companies in Google search in a matter of months, and it's been really a transformative experience.
Yeah, I like that you say you're figuring out how to make, AI practical to kind of solve the business problems because
Hmm.
good Lord, everyone keeps hearing about AI and it's like, okay, well, like practically speaking, how do I actually implement it and use it in what I do? And, the way I look at AI and making it practical is, okay, what are the human steps that I take? And can I model out what it is I'm doing? And what if I could just like amplify one of those like human kind of activities that I'm doing? And like when I think about SEO, for example, it's so tedious. I mean, now we do use
Very.
Ahrefs or Ahrefs, however it's said. We have we have a premium package in that we use it. It has been helpful, but you still have to know what you're doing, and you still have to do tons of keyword research and figure out, okay, well, what's going to work, what's not going to work for this product. And I don't want to go too far in the weeds. I don't really know. Well, I do, but I don't. I don't know how much people understand about this. So you're probably the perfect person if you're listening and you're trying to figure out, maybe you have a cursory level understanding of like, what is SEO? You mentioned backlinks. Those come from referring domains. Would you like to just give everyone this kind of 30,000 foot flyby of like the general problem that
Yeah.
you're trying to solve for, and then maybe we can look at it a little more granular because it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, so I would split this into two different components. One from the business standpoint, from the yourself or others who are trying to
Try your other
use
camera,
SEO,
Jacob. Look to your. There
and
you go.
so there's the business component, which is you're as a business. ultimately you want more customers, you want more sales, you want to grow your business. And one effective way to do that is through search engine optimization, which is just the process of optimizing your website and your web presence to show up higher organically on Google. And what that
Yeah.
means, we like to look at SEO as real estate. Like you are there are search terms and keywords that people search, those have results, and getting into those top spots and holding those top spots are very much like real estate. You're holding those top positions. You're getting a very large. If you're in that number one spot, you're getting anywhere from 20% to even up to 50% of the clicks for that search term. And you won't lose those rankings immediately. You'll hold them for a period of time, possibly even indefinitely. Well, maybe not indefinitely, but for a long period of time. And those have a significant amount of value to a business. Their top search terms could generate them hundreds of thousands, millions, tens, hundreds of millions of dollars even. So there's a lot of value in organic search, and it's also something that you're not having to go and pay for clicks, and then you get you end up spending the entire cost of revenue from a customer just acquiring that customer and then hoping that they come back and purchase later. You're building a foundation, a staple for yourself and your business. So SEO from that standpoint is helping, using organic search to help businesses gain sustainable, measurable, significant business growth using those channels. And then from SEO itself, now the process of SEO is really comes down to one big factor. Google has an algorithm called RankBrain or it's a model called RankBrain that takes in hundreds of different factors and decides how to rank websites in Google search. And ultimately, what Google's trying to do is they are trying to match the user's query or their search term with the highest value results possible for that user. So ultimately, RankBrain is trying to figure out, okay, what and all the 200 plus factors that it takes into account, how much weight to give to each factor in order to help users who are searching for that term get the best results. And ultimately, what we're doing is we're trying to optimize for those factors and reverse engineering, in a sense, Google's own model in order to figure out for your business, for your site, what do we need to do in order to rank you better for terms that are going to have meaningful, measurable results.
I love it. I think every company obviously needs this. And like you said, with the keywords, like real estate, it's like, oh, I just made this reference the other day, on Monopoly. You want Boardwalk, you want Park Place. What's the crappy stuff on the other side? That the low. I mean, that's literally like how you can think of like how you're positioned on the internet. It's like, are you
Yeah.
the Park Place? Are you the Boardwalk? Are you
Yep.
constantly for the keywords you want to rank on? Or, are you, on that first page?
And then the amazing thing is that there's different strategies for how to get to those best properties. Sometimes you can leverage lower revenue properties in order to build up and have more revenue, or to have something in the interim while you're working towards those larger properties. So, or those better higher return properties. So that's one of the things that we do on our side is we actually model out what are the search terms that are going to not just result in meaningful returns, but how quickly and effectively can we get to each of those terms. And we're able to model out a pathway or a plan for people to, over 3 month, a 6 month, a year, 2 year period. This is the initial set of terms that we're going to target that you can get to quickly, that are going to have a meaningful impact on your revenue and your results. And then over time we can pivot and optimize for more and more difficult terms in those better properties. So what one of the big problems with SEO is it's really, not only is it difficult to measure, but also people tend to target those terms that they immediately want to go after, those more difficult terms, and they don't see results for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or maybe they never see results. And we try to take the approach of let's optimize for revenue and create a plan or a strategy that's going to get you results short term and then build up over time.
Yeah, and I think you're talking about like the longer tail
Yeah.
in some cases, or the words that may not be as like heavily used by like the big bad boys that are whoever your competitors are. You've probably seen hundreds, if not thousands, of websites and web pages. And when a company says, "All right, Jacob, help us out,"
Hmm.
I would imagine it's not just okay mapping out how to help them get ranked, but you're probably discovering all kinds of website problems too.
Yes. A lot,
I
actually.
mean, it's people don't understand. I mean, Google is like this super finicky little like bird that you never can see. And there it is, like you spot it. It's like to find this absolutely perfect website that Google loves, and then it's gone. Then you get an error message that says, no, you got to change. Like you are literally chasing like a unicorn trying to get these websites. So what what general like mistakes, problems do you typically encounter when you talk to a new customer and you're looking at their website?
Yeah, one of the biggest ones, and this is one of my biggest issues that I see that's also very easy fix, but my least favorite to see is websites that change a page URL or remove it, but don't set up a permanent redirect. And we've seen so many sites and have existing customers that are running into this problem, and we're helping them with it. And we work with a lot of e-commerce companies, especially. So they'll change a product URL, or they'll take a product down and replace it with a new product page. And they won't set up a redirect, but they'll have all of these links from other sites to those products, or links on their own site to those products, and they won't set up a permanent redirect. And a permanent redirect is just telling web browsers, "Hey, location's no longer here;
Don't
it's
go to
now
that
there."
door. The
Yep,
bathroom is not at the end of that hallway. It's
yep,
now over there.
exactly. And
It's a sitemap. Yeah.
exactly. So it's a very easy fix. You can just set up permanent redirects to redirect those old URLs to new, and we're able to also take a look at all the links that exist on the web and figure out who's linking to old URLs that no longer exist on your site, and then redirect those to pages that actually exist. And you can actually see a pretty significant boost in your SEO if you have a huge amount of links out there that are going to broken pages, and then you set up those redirects. That's one of the biggest problems that we initially see when we crawl somebody's website and take a look at it. Another one is it's called canonical URLs. So or a few issues
I've heard
around
of that
it.
term. I have heard of that. Canonical. That's the like the original.
Yep. So there are Shopify is notoriously bad at managing canonical URLs. Depending on Shopify itself isn't notoriously bad, but some themes on Shopify are notoriously bad for managing canonical URLs. And what happens is every time you set up a product and you put it in multiple collections or categories in Shopify, there's a separate URL that gets created or that works for that product that has every different collection in it. So what ends up happening is you have a single product in, let's say, 5 collections. You end up with 5 different URLs, and Google says, "Hey, which one do we index? Which one do we rank? Which one do we show? Which URL is correct and do we show on Google?" And it can create issues where your people are linking to multiple URLs, and Google's crawling multiple URLs, and it can impact your ability to rank and how well you rank and how you get indexed. And sometimes one version will get indexed, one won't. So there's something called a canonical tag that allows you to say, "Hey, this is the original URL that we want you to consider the primary URL for this page or content, and that's the URL we want you to index and use." So it's generally a pretty easy fix. You can add to the theme or add to the site a meta tag for that, they call it. But it's also one that we see a lot. And then the third biggest issue that we see is broken external links to other websites and broken images. So we come across, I mean, we've across our platform, we've probably found at least 1 million broken links and images so far, and it's actually quite common.
Yeah, I've never used Shopify, but I know you guys. Well, let me back up a little bit. You mentioned making AI practical and
Yeah.
solving for business problems. And right now it looks like you're focused on the SEO, but I think you kind of hinted at the fact that you're going to be able to kind of expand this knowledge base, this knowledge set to maybe other functions that a company has to deal with. So I can appreciate that. And I think it's a smart business model to do that because, SEO just might be the gateway for them to discover you guys and you can end up doing more for them. But on
Yes.
like for companies, e-commerce companies that are trying to, drive traffic to make an online purchase, I know Shopify is definitely a popular one. Amazon is obviously another area. When you look at all the different socials that are out there and all the different platforms, there's Twitter, X, Insta, there's all kinds of places. Are there socials that you're probably right now the most excited or interested about as it relates to generating traffic and sales and revenue?
So yes, and there are both. I read data a few months back that when we're talking about younger generations and newer technology users, there's a very large, substantial portion of them that are using TikTok and using Instagram in order to shop and in order to search. And that ratio or that demographic is growing. So I'm expecting. I don't think Google's going to go away anytime soon. I think even with generative search, it's still going to be around, or heavily around for quite a while, even if the other platforms get a significant market share. But I do see over the next 5-10 years, with the change in user behavior with younger technology users, that Instagram and TikTok are going to be a much larger role in search and in shopping.
We do post some on those platforms, but I always find it's difficult, I have found, for businesses to create the right like links. It's like they want to keep you on that website. I think I'm
Mhm.
thinking of, is it which is more that way, TikTok or Instagram? I'm not really sure. I know they just don't want you to leave.
I
It's
think
like,
both of them, even if you pull up a link, it'll pull it up within a browser within the application. Like, they don't want you to leave the actual app.
right, okay, so you can do that.
Yeah.
When you're creating strategies, you're not able, obviously you can't affect anything on the back end of those platforms. You can only help the way maybe Google indexes or helps move from that app to the final purchasing decision.
Correct. We
Why
can.
oh, go ahead. You have
I was
something
going
you
to
want
say
to comment on that?
we can help optimize for what people are actually searching for, and the searches within those applications or within Google search that will lead to tangible purchases and revenue. And we're ultimately looking at, what is the intent of what searches exist out there? What are the intent of those searches? What are
Yeah.
the value of them? How much traffic is there? How difficult is it to rank for them? And we're ultimately helping them optimize their content to within those platforms, or to convert, or those results to convert better, but also targeting terms and searches that are going to result in meaningful revenue.
You had something on your website that kind of piqued my interest, and I don't know if other people are trying to understand this as much as I am, but you mentioned machine learning, and I don't want to get too deep, but it sounds like you might have your own kind of platform that you're using to help you with the optimization and understanding of like what the trends are, learning the trends, learning the keywords so you can respond and act very quickly. Am I on the right track with you guys? You've created your own machine learning, or you're using someone else's machine learning model?
Yeah, we're actually using multiple. I mean, I can't go too much into the nitty and gritty of all of it
Yeah.
and give up too much of the
No, no,
sauce.
I don't want
But
you to do
we
that.
are.
It's just fascinating though that
Yeah,
that
it's
you're
a great
teaching
question.
and yeah.
Oh, so we're using we built our own model, and then in addition to that, we're using a couple publicly available models, and then several generative AI models and image models. So it's actually a collection of different models that we are then created a practical structure around.
Yeah, that to me is that's the genius of what you're doing is that this machine learning you're helping it learn or it's learning on its own. However you've got your model
Oh.
set up, both probably, right?
Yeah.
All. That's how you know put this SEO on steroids. And if anyone's ever tried to do this manually, I can just tell you from firsthand experience, it is very tedious. So why e-commerce? Why have you focused on that niche versus, I don't know, professional service firms like, oh, I don't know, staffing?
Coming to staffing eventually. So through
Like,
our
give me a
agency.
6 month advance heads up so we can start work in advance with you.
All right, we'll do. Let's do it. Um, so to answer your question, there's three reasons. One is existing relationships with e-commerce companies. Running an agency, we worked not entirely with e-commerce, but more than 50% of the customers were e-commerce, and built a lot of relationships. Had quite a bit of experience working with e-commerce and doing SEO for e-commerce. The second reason is that e-commerce is much easier to measure than other businesses. So we take a very revenue-driven approach, and most e-commerce sites, especially Shopify and WooCommerce, have Google Analytics set up. They have Google Search Console set up. Typically, they have conversion information within the platforms themselves, and we're able to go in and collect that data, use it within our strategy and reporting, and that really helps us create a revenue-driven strategy and focus. And then the third reason is that typically they're already working with agencies or doing SEO on their own. And if they're not, they're typically doing PPC, so they have the budget and the resources to do SEO and get actual meaningful results.
Got it. So they're pretty much already players in the market. So you know that this target industry is well aware that
Yep.
yeah. Now
Yep, and we do plan to expand to other industries as well. So, legal and real estate and, service businesses and so on. We're in the process of building out our local features, which we're planning on rolling out in the next, 3 to 6 months. And also working with agencies directly as well. So there we have quite a bit of expansion plans to expand beyond just e-commerce, but it was a great beachhead market to start in and grow in and really validate the product market fit and get feedback from customers and understand, what great SEO and a great SEO tool that's AI driven looks like for business owners and for the end user.
did you ever do any work with food and beverage?
We did. We've worked with a handful of different food and beverage companies. Well, actually, a few dozen at the agency, and then we have a handful of customers through Fancy AI right now. Mostly food related products.
Yeah, beverage is kind of difficult online just due to the weight and the shipping.
Yep, weight and shipping.
Yeah.
So we've got a handful now, actually several around like beef jerky, beef sticks. Has actually been quite a a joke in the office because we ordered.
You
We
get
like to support our
samples.
customers. We like to support our customers, so they send us samples, and we went and bought a bunch from one of them, and I think the team ate them for about a week or two and really liked them, but. I became the primary consumer of those beef sticks, and at one point was consuming 4 or 5 a day, and
Addicted.
I think that we had I think over 500, and I think in a few months I had consumed about half of the beef sticks. So there's a running joke in the office about that. And anytime there's a beef product, Jacob's typically offered and has to try it.
Yeah, when I was doing for a couple years, I kind of exclusively did food and beverage podcasting, and one of the best, other than meeting all the great people who had huge ideals of what they were trying to tackle. Because
Mhm.
as you know, even in the jerky space, you got the big boys, the big commercial players, and then you got the smaller players who are trying to carve their niche out. And that's really where you fit in, I think. Of course, you could work with the big companies, but it's those smaller, mid-cap, scrappy companies that are really trying to take market share that need these kind of cutting-edge technologies. You find a lot of that in the food space.
Definitely.
And man, the samples that I got. I
What was
mean,
your favorite?
I had a double. I don't drink a lot of beer. I love beer. I'm not a big drinker, but I got some
Same.
Fathead beer. I got some Fatheads from Pennsylvania. Those were great. Troganator. That was the other beer. That was
Troganator.
double Hockenbach, multiple award winner. That probably literally was the very best beer I've ever had.
Wow, you're giving me something to try.
I mean, it is literally top shelf. But again, there's just so many startups out there that are trying to carve their way in, and I would imagine having some kind of regenerative AI, machine learning engine behind you to kind of take out the guesswork, particularly if you're doing ad spend, right? I would imagine what you're doing could help really lower budget. In other words, or maybe improve ROI. I should say maybe your budget remains the same, but you get so much more
Yes.
from that play.
It actually SEO and PPC can work hand in hand pretty very well. And there are a few different ways that it can, but one of the as you rank higher organically, you can either pull back budget for a term that you're spending on PPC wise and get a higher return on your spend as a result, or you can hold both positions and run PPC and have high rankings on show up high organically and get a larger percentage of the clicks, get a larger piece of the pie or the market. So they work really well hand in hand. And interestingly, the keyword strategy and a lot of the strategy components for SEO and PPC are very similar.
So you mentioned a couple of industries that might be next. And I don't know how much you've looked into staffing, so I'm kind of putting you on the hot seat, but it's okay. Staffing is a very, very difficult. I think it's extremely difficult to market. I just don't think anyone goes out and looks for it. I mean, I think that's the beauty of the industries you're in. People are searching for it.
Hmm.
I don't
Well,
think HR people, literally staffing agency near me. I think candidates do that, but from like a client rev generating, that to me, that's a nut that needs to be cracked. I would love to figure out how to do that. I don't. What do you think the problems are with professional services in general when it comes to this kind of SEO?
so to back up one step, definitely would have to research staffing. I do have a system I can run it through, and I can tell you in a matter of minutes how large the market is, how many searches there are related to the market, what based on how many are transactional, and different metrics that I can get from you, like your conversion rate and how much each conversion is valued to you. I can tell you exactly how large the market is. And then from there, we're able to really dive in and figure out what terms would result in meaningful revenue or conversions. But for service industry as a whole, I mean, the biggest piece of it is local. So how businesses, service businesses show up in Google Maps search or local search has a huge impact on their business and their ability to get new customers or for existing customers to find them. But additionally, there's much more nuance with service industry. Like you said, you may be more interested in somebody who's looking for, client that's looking for staffing rather than an individual that's looking for staffing. And that's actually information that we can pass to our system and our model can take into account. But there is a lot we find there's a lot more business, there's a lot more gray area or nuance over like a single product e-commerce brand or an e-commerce brand with a few thousand products in a few categories. It's much more straightforward in those types of businesses. So we're having to, make our models a little more sophisticated, but also take a lot more context and information from the business into account. And then that's really when it comes to a lot of our models, but as well as when you're working with generative AI, especially, context is king. Context is really important. That makes a huge. It's not the only piece, but it makes a huge amount of difference in the quality of what you get out of it.
Yeah, I think to your point, when you think about staffing or professional services, a lot of it does revolve around just like geolocating.
Yep.
Like why would I look for an attorney in California if I'm in Georgia, right? You
Yeah.
ideally
Yeah.
you're gonna, yeah.
I would hope not.
I mean, or dentist, things like that.
Mhm.
Well, I think I think there's a lot more we could talk about, but I think this has given people, I think, a pretty good overview just of the complexity that goes into, SCI and SEI. What is SCI? SEO, and coming up with content to drive that traffic. Because like you said earlier, and I love the way you put it. It's real estate.
Very
You're the
much so.
digital real estate broker.
Very much so.
Look at that. We just gave you a new title. You probably already knew that, but for me,
Digital real estate broker.
you are
I
a
like that.
digital real estate broker.
All
That's like
right.
a new, that's like a,
We are our internal slogan, Fancy
yes.
AI, the digital real estate broker.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Well, listen, you enjoy your Friendsgiving. Um, don't get them too hammered. They do have to drive home.
I'll try not to.
Get some low ABV. You can't go, you
Oh
can't,
no, we got to go with the champagne. I mean, it's Thanksgiving. We
yeah.
gotta we gotta go all out.
That sounds great. Well, I certainly look forward to really kind of watching how this business expands and makes practical AI even beyond SEO, which I still think is hugely important as you get into other areas. But for people who want to maybe do maybe a deeper dive, talk with you or someone else on the team, what's the best way to connect?
Yeah, you can reach us at getfancy.ai, our website, and book a demo through there. Alternatively, you can reach out to sales@getfancy.ai, and we'd be happy to have a conversation and see how we can help you.
So, as I guess my final question, how'd you come up with Get Fancy?
Great question. So the agency was called Fancy Awesome, and we myself and one of my partners, or both of my partners, worked or ran the agency at different stages, and the agency name Fancy Awesome really stuck with customers. It's a very memorable name, and it's fun. We like the very colorful fun culture that it created, and when we decided we wanted to build an AI company, we were trying to come up with a name, and we wanted to include fancy or awesome in some way. And
I love it.
eventually, we ended up with Fancy AI, and then the domain wasn't available, so we went with getfancy.ai, and eventually we're going to get that fancyai.com or maybe fancy.com. But yeah, and that's what led us to Fancy AI, and we like to keep things fancy and fun.
It, I think you could have some fun with your branding and your swag and your employer brand.
So
Let's
people
get
confuse
fancy,
the AI with AL a lot. So we came up with I don't know if you've seen the logo, but it has a little robot,
Yeah, yeah, I've
and
seen it.
we decided to name him Al. He's Fancy Al, and give him kind of a fun little personality. And then one day we were messing around with ChatGPT, and we were like, hey, maybe we could create a Gordon Ramsay inspired GPT that you can feed a website URL and then it will critique that website as if it were Gordon Ramsay.
Oh
And
God.
and it was hilarious. I'll have to send you some of the lines. They were fantastic, but we
Hell knows no fury as does Gordon Ramsay in a
yes.
poorly run kitchen.
So now we just imagine Fancy Al as a little mini Gordon Ramsay over there, critiquing people's websites, and we like to have fun with it. We want to bring Al to life and had some fun with it and bring some personality, into the software, into the business, into the brand.
I think Fancy Al could be a little plushy toy, a
Yeah,
little
it could be.
plushie,
It's a really
a
good
little
idea.
bean bag, have it, it's a little bean bag guy, have it kind of sit on your desk.
It's a really good idea. I'm gonna have
What
to.
would
We're gonna have to
Fancy Al
come up with a
do?
Fancy Al plushie made.
Yeah, it's like, what would Fancy Al do in this situation? Uh, Jacob,
What
great
would
talking to you
what would
again. Happy
FAL do?
Thanksgiving. I certainly look forward to more business conversations with you guys in 2025.
Likewise, thank you for having me on, and enjoy your Thanksgiving as well. Hope that you're able to spend some time relaxing with family or
Oh yeah,
so on. And
definitely. I took the easy way out. I went to honey baked ham.
you can never go wrong with honey baked ham.
I took the easy route. I'm not doing the turkey drop. I mean, they've literally live streamed me doing turkey drops before.
Really?
And it's like, no, I don't want the cleanup this year. I'm going.
Oh, that's fair.
I just pushed the big red easy button. I just
That's fair. And you can't go wrong with ham. I mean, honey
and
ham.
turkey. I did both. I did ham and turkey.
Oh man.
Smoked turkey glazed and then the spiraled ham. Come on.
Well, one of these days, I'm gonna have to try your honey ham.
You're gonna have to. Honey ham. Maybe Fancy Al and honey ham will hook up. All
Yes.
right.
Yes.
We will do it again in 2025. Great seeing you again. Happy
Good seeing you,
Thanksgiving.
Tony. Happy Thanksgiving. Have a good one.